What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to address some of the frequently asked questions that I've been getting about the EIDL or the EIDL program. So I will be addressing some of the common questions that I've been getting about the EIDL program, including who can apply, what happens if you've already applied and been denied the program, and what you can do if you're somebody who is denied on the basis of credit. So let's get started. Now, one of the important things to keep in mind in regard to the EIDL program is the fact that not all of the details have been released. You see, this $900 billion stimulus package has been announced, it's been passed, and it is something that's being executed on. But the EIDL program specifically is actually handled by the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, and because of that, kind of the general framework of the program, the funding of the program, and how much money the program is getting, that has been decided by lawmakers. But really the execution of the program is handled by the SBA. Now, according to the stimulus package and according to what's been passed, the SBA has 15 days from the date the bill was passed in order to release guidelines on how the application and approval process for the EIDL program will be handled. So once these guidelines have been announced by the SBA, we will then know the exact details of the program. We will know who can apply and on what basis may be a denial. We can also find out what happens if you've already applied. If you've already been denied, do you need to apply again? We'll also know the exact details on people who have already received funding once and if they'd be able to receive it the second time, and if so, what are the details of that? So we are really waiting for the SBA for a whole lot of information before many of these aspects of the EIDL program will be known. With that being said, there are a few key things that we already know today, and there are a few key things that even though they have not been officially announced, there are a few key things that I feel like will most likely be implemented in this round of funding. Now, first and foremost, keep in mind that with the CARES Act, it was a 3-day waiting period between the time that you applied for the EIDL program and the time that you were supposed to get your free cash advance of $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. But this time around, it is going to be 21 days. Now, if you guys remember correctly, this was a mess with the CARES Act. 3 days, it was a extremely overambitious goal, and it was a goal that should have never been implemented in the first place. So lawmakers are going back, they are revising this, and they're making it 21 days instead, meaning that with the second round of EIDL funding, you can expect to receive a denial or an approval, and you can expect to receive those funds upon approval within 21 days of the original application date. Now, before we go into the specific frequently asked questions, I want to preface with some of the things that we do know as of right now and some of the key factors that will determine whether or not you will be eligible for this free $10,000. Now, first and foremost, the important thing to remember is that you are not guaranteed to be approved for the EIDL program. And this was something that caused a lot of issues with the CARES Act. Now, with the CARES Act back in March of 2020, it was implied that anybody who applied for the EIDL program would receive the full $10,000. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it was essentially along the lines of any applicant who is in need of EIDL funds can receive $10,000. And this essentially resulted in a huge influx of people applying for the EIDL program, and really no way for the SBA to fact check all of these applications in a timely manner. As a result, the SBA decreased that $10,000 to $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. But even with this change of a flat rate $10,000 to a $1,000 per employee, there was still a lot of people that were really frustrated with the EIDL program because of the fact that they were denied on the basis of things like credits, on the basis of not being able to prove your business entity, on the basis of not having a proper banking account. There was a slew of reasons as to why people were denied. Now, in this second round of EIDL funding, they have explicitly said in this bill that you can be denied. You can be denied both the EIDL loan, and I believe you can also be denied the EIDL cash advance, even though it doesn't explicitly specify the cash advance specifically. A handful of reasons as to why you could be denied the EIDL cash advance as well as the EIDL loan are things like not having a business that was operating as of January 31st, 2020. It could be because you're not showing a gross revenue decline of at least 30%. It could be that you're not coming from a low income community outlined by the IRS. It could also be that you aren't able to prove that you're taking part in the businesses that you're claiming to take part in. And lastly, it could be that your credit is too poor. Unfortunately, I think that it's kind of like an ironic thing to require out of an emergency disaster loan, but unfortunately, credit is something that they take into account. And if you have bad credit, the SBA could use that as a reason to deny you the EIDL loan and thus denying you the cash advance. So credit, along with a number of different factors, can absolutely dictate whether or not you would qualify for this program. On that same note, with this last round of EIDL funding that took place in the spring and in the summer, by the end of the EIDL program, the SBA had added this kind of sketchy contingency saying, hey, if you do not qualify for the EIDL loan, you also will not be getting the EIDL cash advance. They had put the cash advance contingent on the EIDL loan. Now, this is something that had a lot of mixed reports because for me, I got the EIDL grant. I got it back in April. I was one of the very first people to get it. I received my $1,000 because I'm a single person company. I only qualified for $1,000. I received that $1,000, but I was actually denied the loan myself, and I still received the cash advance. But then people later on in the program, some of the people that were applying for it later on in the summer, like in June and July, they had claimed, and there were various reports coming from various sources, that people who applied for the EIDL program and were denied the loan were also denied the cash advance. And the reason for the cash advance denial was the fact that they were denied the loan. So this is something that has caused a lot of confusion over the last few months as well, and it's something that I'm not sure how the SBA will approach going forward. I am not sure if with the second round of funding, if you will have to receive the loan in order to qualify for the $10,000 cash advance. I don't know if you will have to be approved, but you won't have to accept the loan. I don't know if you'll have to accept and be approved for the loan. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, and that is something that the SBA will be releasing guidelines on in the coming days and in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that, and I will be addressing it. But as of right now, this is entirely unclear, but it is definitely a possibility that the EIDL cash advance, this $10,000 cash advance, will be contingent on the approval and acceptance of the loan. This is not confirmed. This is just my own theory, and I think that there's a high likelihood that this will be the case. Next is the question of credit. I've been getting a lot of questions of people who are saying, hey, I was denied the EIDL loan over the summer because of credit. Do I need to reapply the second time around? So the answer to that question is a bit unclear. So the fact is that EIDL funds can be denied on the basis of credit. And if you were denied the EIDL program over the summer on the basis of credit, and if your credit is the same as it was 8 months ago, 6 months ago, chances are you will be denied again. With that being said, I think that if your credit has improved a little bit, if your financial situation has improved, I certainly think that it's worth a second go around. Now, whenever it comes to applying for the EIDL program the second time, if you were denied previously, there are two different scenarios that most likely will end up playing out. Number one is you won't need to reapply. Instead, you will need to file a letter of reconsideration or an appeal. Or number two, you will just need to flat out reapply again. This is something that the SBA will need to decide, and they have yet to release this information. But my bet is that it will be one of those two options, though I'm not exactly sure which one it will be. So if you're somebody who is denied the EIDL program on the basis of credit over the summer and you're wanting to explore receiving funds a second time around, stand by because I will be doing a video on this once the SBA adds some clarity on the situation. You will either have to reapply or file an appeal or a letter of reconsideration. So it will be one of those two options most likely. The next question that I've been getting a lot is in relation to who qualifies for the EIDL program. And oftentimes this question is phrased along the lines of, hey, I have this type of business. Do I qualify for the EIDL program? Or how do I go about applying for the EIDL program? And it could be any type of scenario of somebody saying, hey, I have a mom and pop shop. Do I qualify? Or hey, I drive for Uber. Do I qualify? Or hey, I build websites for a living. Do I qualify? And the answer to all of those questions is yes, you could qualify. Now, the thing that I think is so great about the EIDL program is that it is super broad and it's the same for any type of business owner or gig worker. So what I mean by that is that the EIDL program is the same regardless of what type of business you're taking part in. So the process is the same same, the application is the same. It doesn't deviate depending on what type of business you're taking part in, how big your business is, or how much money you make. And I think that that's really great because it makes the program really easy to understand, and it makes it so that people like me can learn a lot about the program and then help people like you who may have questions about it. And so because of the broadness of the program, there are a whole lot of people that could qualify for it. The EIDL program is available for people who do gig work, so people who drive for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, host on Airbnb, host on Turo, whatever type of gig work you do. You can also qualify if you are an independent contractor or a gig worker or a 1099 worker. So if you build websites for people, if you're a contract worker on like a contractual basis, if you do freelancing work on services like Freelancer, Upwork, or Fiverr, all of these would be jobs that would qualify you for the EIDL program. And they also support legitimate LLCs and small businesses. So if you have an LLC, like a small mom and pop shop, like a brick and mortar store, you could qualify. If you have a Shopify store where you sell products or goods, you could qualify. If you have a company of 300 employees or less, you could qualify. But the thing about the EIDL program, especially with the second round of funding, is that just because you could qualify doesn't mean you do qualify. You see, with the EIDL program, you have to show a 30% gross revenue decrease in any quarter in 2020 versus the same quarter in 2019. You have to come from a low-income community outlined in the IRS, and you also have to have a business that was formed before January 31st, 2020. If you guys are interested in learning more about these qualifications, I did a video on this, and I will link that down in the description below. I will also link it down in the pinned comment section as well. But those are a handful of the qualifications that you have to meet on top of the business qualifications. So let's say, for example, you drive for Uber and you are making 30% more in 2020 than you are in 2019. You would not qualify for the EIDL program. It doesn't matter that you did a qualifying job. You didn't meet the revenue threshold required for the EIDL program. Another example would be if you had a small mom and pop shop and maybe your sales went down in 2020, but only by 10%. You would not qualify for the EIDL program. And a final example would be if somebody had a business that was in an extremely wealthy area like Beverly Hills, California. Even if you had that business before January 31st, 2020, even if that business suffered more than a 30% gross revenue loss, you would still be disqualified from the program because you do not come from a low-income community, which is one of the deciding factors when it comes to qualifying for the EIDL program. So it's really important to understand those different nuances when it comes to qualifications. And you need to understand that just because you have a gig, just because you have a business, does not automatically mean that you qualify for the EIDL program. And not only do you have to meet these like outlined qualification standards that are already outlined by lawmakers, but you also have to meet the qualifications that the SBA will outline as well, including things like credit, for example. So there is a variety of factors that will determine whether or not you are eligible for the EIDL program. And as of right now, we know a handful of those factors, the ones that have been outlined in the bill, but there are also a handful that are currently unknown, and they will be released by the SBA in the coming days. Another question that I've received quite a lot is if you received the EIDL cash advance or the EIDL grant in the first round of funding, will you need to reapply the second time around in order to get the full $10,000, or will it just automatically be applied to you? How does that process work? And as of right now, this is a bit unclear, and it will be outlined by the SBA. Now, you will have to meet a series of different criteria in order to qualify for the full $10,000. And according to this newest $908 billion stimulus package, it says that if you receive the cash advance, you will get the difference of what you received the first time. But the exact details of that are unknown. I am not sure if that means that anybody who received the cash advance the first time will receive it again. I don't know if you'll have to reapply a second time, and if you are approved the second time, then you get the rest of the full $10,000. I am still not entirely sure how that process is going to work, so it's unclear as of right now. I would probably guess that you will have to reapply. I don't see the SBA going back and giving everybody who got the first $1,000 the full $10,000. I just don't think that there's enough funds to do that. So I think that they will require you to reapply, and then if you're eligible for the second round of funding, then you'll get the difference of that $10,000. But I am not entirely sure, and that theory has really no evidence to support it. It's just what I've seen with the SBA, and I really can't imagine them automatically giving everybody the difference of $10,000. But this is, again, something that the SBA will be outlining in the coming days and in the next week or so. So stay tuned to this YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on all things EIDL, and I will be addressing this once it's released. And the last thing that I wanted to address is kind of a concerning trend that I've seen on YouTube in the last couple of months, but it really gets amplified on videos of mine that do well in views. And that is scammers just scamming the crap out of the comment section of my videos. Now, this is something that I've been seeing more and more, and it's really something that's getting out of hand. And whenever I see scammers who are commenting on my videos, I try to delete the comment, I try to report the person, but it happens so often that it's kind of hard to manage sometimes. So I wanted to address this because if you guys ever see somebody commenting on my videos talking about some service that they're promoting or an accountant that they're promoting or an SBA representative that they're promoting, it is a scam. And please do not engage with that person. Definitely don't comment. Definitely don't contact whatever person they're promoting. Just simply ignore it, or better yet, report it. This is something that I've really been trying hard to manage on the channel, but it gets out of hand really quickly, and it's really impossible to delete every single spam comment. Additionally, something that happened the other day that was really concerning was I was responding to comments on my own video, and I found somebody who was responding to comments impersonating me. So they had created a Aubrey Janik YouTube channel. It had my photo on it. It had my cover photo. Like, everything looked like it was me, but they were promoting this scammy service and this like fraudulent service, trying to get people to sign up for something and to buy this sketchy service. That was really alarming because they were commenting on the videos as if they were commenting as me, and it wasn't me. So I want to reiterate that if you ever see me commenting on my own videos, my name is always highlighted gray, and I will include a screenshot of that down below so that you can see an example. But if my name is not gray on my own videos, then it's not me and it's a scammer. Additionally, if you see that I'm leaving a comment that seems out of character for me, then click on the name, and if the name leads to an empty YouTube channel, then that's not me either. But I wanted to address this because I've been seeing it happen more and more lately, and whenever I saw the impersonation account, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. So if you see anything sketchy going on, if you see anybody trying to be me and you know it's not me, if you could report the channel, report the comment, I would appreciate it, and I will also try to do the same as much as I can. But with it being said, you guys, if you have any other EIDL comments or questions that I didn't address in this video, please leave a comment down below and I can do another one of these videos. I will be continuing to cover the EIDL program as more information is released from the SBA, so stay tuned for that. But make sure to leave a comment down below, and while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.